this too. All right, guys, welcome to our first Dream Team Zoom of 2023. I'm going to try to be as precise and timely with this one because in 30 minutes there is a mashup Monday, and Samantha Cox is being not interviewed, but she has the topic and she's going to run with it. And I want to make sure we all, if you're able to, can at least listen into that one as also. So what I want to do today, first of all, I want to give credit where credit is due. Courtney Summers had started the meeting of the minds on Monday mornings. And one of the very first things she makes us all do is write out our affirmations. And so I've been writing out my affirmations. Like, I don't know, I've been writing them out. I don't know how great they've been, but I've been doing them. Well, then as fate would have it, I've been reading this book, The Success Principles. It's a 500 and some page book. So you know me and how much I love to read. So I'm just doing it one chapter at a time. The chapters aren't huge. There's a ton of chapters. But a couple nights ago, it was all about affirmations. And as I read through it, it's just some little tweaks that you can make to your affirmations, but it makes a big difference. So I thought this is perfect. I want to share this. It's the new year. People are still working on vision boards, affirmations, all the things. So I want to go over, there's 9 fundamentals to making the great I am affirmation. And then he actually gives some information on how to use the affirmations properly, because it's one thing to have affirmations. It's another thing to actually use them properly. So I'm going to do a lot of reading. Some classes are going on, but at any time, if you have something you want to say or question, you can unmute or you can throw your hand up, whatever. All right. So the number one, let me see what he actually calls these. The 9 guidelines for creating effective affirmations. Okay. So it says to be effective, your affirmations should be constructed using the following 9 guidelines. Number 1, and I think this is one that a lot of us use, but I think this is important to know, is that you start with the words I am. I am are the 2 most powerful words in the world. The subconscious takes any sentence that starts with the word I am, and it interprets it as a command, a directive to make it happen. So it might feel weird saying I am 12K or I am 200K, but the way your brain reads that is a directive to get you there, right? Humans, we are wired we like to be correct. So when we say something, our mind will get us to where it belongs. So if you're saying I will never be 12K, guess what? You're exactly right. You would never get there because your brain's like, oh, I'm not getting there. But if you're using I am, your subconscious takes that as a directive. It actually interprets it as a command. I think it's so important. Number 2, use the present tense. So you have to describe what you want as though you already have it. And I think I know I make that mistake a lot. I say my I ams as in like, I am on my way to 200K. No, I am 200. Like you have to say it as you're in it. So in other words, the example he gives here is, instead of saying I'm going to get a new red Porsche 911, you would say I am enjoying driving my new red Porsche 911. So you're actually doing it, right? Like you've got it, you're doing it, and you're happy about it. Number 3, you want to state them in the positive. Affirm what you want, not what you don't. And this is a tricky one because I think a lot of times we will pull back on our affirmations, and without really putting it out there, we're pulling stuff back. So he says, state your affirmation in the positive. The unconscious does not hear the words no or not. I found this to be fascinating. So follow along because it took me a second. This means that the statement, don't slam the door. When you say don't slam the door, your brain hears slam the door, right? Hang in there. The unconscious thinks in pictures. So your brain is always pulling up pictures. So whether I tell you to slam the door or not to slam the door, what do you picture? You picture a door slamming, right? So you have to be very careful with the words that you're using. The phrase, I am no longer afraid to fly, evokes an image of being afraid of flying, while the phrase, I'm enjoying the thrill of flying, evokes an image of enjoyment. So when you're thinking about your affirmations and you're writing them down, close your eyes and say it. And what comes to your mind? What do you see? Like, that'll make a big difference. So right there, I'm no longer afraid of flying. When I think that, I immediately picture myself 10 years ago on my honeymoon, petrified to fly, versus I'm enjoying the thrill of flying, which would then bring me to my last flight where we went someplace great and I loved it, right? So make sure you're putting it in the affirmative and also in a way that your brain can get the picture that you actually are wanting. Number 4, keep it brief. Think of your affirmation as an advertising jingle and each word is going to cost you $1,000. So you want to keep it short. And it is funny, like some of the dumbest advertisements on TV are the ones that I can't get out of my head. And they're like a jingle that's like 3 words. You know, I was like something stupid, right? So you really want your affirmations to be something like that where you start to say them so often and see them so often that it's like the jingle. Like I don't know, I'm thinking of like Safe Light Auto. Like it just that crap plays in my head, right? So you want your affirmations to be short, sweet, and simple to where they can do that. Number 5, be very specific. And I find this a lot with people when they talk about their affirmation. So for example, the wrong way would be to say, I'm driving a new sports car. Okay. No, a better way, I am driving a new red Porsche 911. He must have a thing for Porsches because he refers to it a lot in here. So again, when you're like, I'm a 12K auto bonus earner, that's I don't know, like when I say that, it's hard for me to picture what that means except to see the badge, right? But if I were to say, I am loving driving my white Land Rover Discoverer that I got through the auto bonus plan, then I can see a car and I can see myself in it, right? So you want to be very specific. Number 6, include an action word ending in ing. And I thought this was interesting because I've never done this with mine, and I'm going to try to, and I'm not going to try, I'm going to do this with mine. So an active verb adds the power to help evoke the image of you're doing something right now. So again, you're writing it in the present, that you're doing it right now. Ronnie, does this sound familiar? Apparently there was a conversation. So this one where you're actually using the ing word. So a wrong example would be, I express myself openly and honestly. And I would have told you that was a great affirmation up to this point, right? But now he's saying to say, I am confidently expressing myself openly and honestly. So I don't express myself, I'm expressing myself. And he even added the adjective of confidently so that it's not, because you could be expressing yourself, but you might be nervous about it, right? But this says, I'm confidently expressing myself. So again, it's being a little more specific and adding the ing verb so that it gives action to, instead of I drive a Land Rover, I am driving see how different that is? And that will put a different picture in your head. Like if I say I drive a Land Rover, I just picture it in my not a driveway, like not a parking lot, in my driveway. But if I say I'm driving a Land Rover, then I picture myself actually behind the wheel driving it. So it becomes more real. And remember, your brain doesn't know if it is or not. It's what you put in your brain that will start to believe what it's going to know. Okay, number 7, you're going to include at least one dynamic, emotional, or feeling word. You want to include the emotional state you would be feeling if you already had achieved the goal. So some commonly used words are enjoying, joyfully, happily, celebrating, proudly, calmly, peacefully, enthusiastically. So it's almost like the ly words, basically. So what he's saying here, like a wrong affirmation would be, I'm maintaining my perfect body weight of 178. And again, I would have told you that was a good one from the beginning, right? A right way would be, I'm feeling agile and great at 178. So in other words, if you're at the perfect body weight, what does that feel like? Well, to this person, it feels agile and great. So it's a matter of taking your words and really using the words that take you to the feeling of what you're looking for. So not just because when I see I'm maintaining a perfect weight of 178, I picture a person standing on a scale. When I read and then see in my head, I'm feeling agile and great at 178, I see a person who's like maybe out for a run, or maybe somebody's like doing a yoga class, or somebody who's just like bebopping around during the day and they feel amazing, right? So it's very different. It's just that it just has a very different feel when you look at those words and how it's the power of words. And if you're anything like me, you might struggle with power words because I'm not a great reader. I did not do great in school. I'm not a fan of, I don't want to say I'm not a fan of learning, but I'm not like a big fan of all that jazz. So like sometimes I really have to think like, what is the word that will make me see and feel what I'm looking for? And I think what that boils down to is being intentional and really taking the time to come up with your affirmations. Because I will be honest, a lot of times when someone's like, let's write down our affirmations, I'll just grab a sheet of paper and just start writing stuff down, which that's a brain dump. right? There's a difference there between a brain dump and your affirmations. Your affirmations are well thought out goals that you're picturing in your mind versus a brain dump. I think to get to affirmations, you probably need a brain dump, but to get to a true affirmation, you've got to really think about the words that you're using. Okay, number 8, make your affirmation for yourself, not others. And this is another one that I think is important because there are times where I will write, I'm building dream team to a 200K team. Well, that has more to do with dream team than me, right? And my affirmation has to be for me. So the example that this person gives is, I'm watching Johnny clean his room. So like somebody might, so let's say you're frustrated with your child, they never clean their room. So you're like, I'm just going to start saying that every day I'm watching him clean his room. Every day I'm watching him clean his room. And you think that's going to help, right? He says instead, it should be, I'm effectively communicating my needs and desires, Johnny. Because again, you can't change someone else's behavior. You can only change your own. So if every day you're like, I'm effectively sharing how I feel about Johnny's dirty room with him to where he starts to understand what he needs to do, right? So for me, I'm instead of I'm building Dream Team to a 200K team, it should be I'm working daily with my team to achieve my goals, or there, you know what I mean? Like I need, again, I'd have to like sit and really think about this. Like, what do I want to picture in that moment? And number 9, and I loved this one because I don't do it, but I'm going to start. At the end of every affirmation, he says to add or something better. So when you are affirming, when you're affirming that you're going to get a specific situation, so you're affirming that you're going to get a job or a vacation, or let's in our case, a rank, an auto bonus, a new customer, something like that. After you say, so if I am feeling agile and great with my 5 new promoters, right? That's good. But then at the end, I would say, or something better. Because let me see what he says here. Sometimes the criteria for what we want, you guys are going to love this, comes from our ego and our limited beliefs. Yes, I will, Shantan, just a sec. So the reason you want to add something better, because sometimes there is something or someone even better that's available to us, and we need to let our affirmations allow that person to come to us. So how many times have you been like, I'm going to get a new customer this month, instead of maybe you could have asked for 10, right? I'm going to be 12K by the end of 2023, when maybe you should have said by the end of February. So you always want to say your affirmation and then add or something better, because there might be something better out there that you aren't thinking of because you won't allow yourself to think of it, or it's never even crossed your mind of the possibilities, right? How many times has something happened to you that's like, wow, this is so much better than I ever intended, right? Have you ever like booked a vacation and got an upgraded room? Have you ever like got on an airplane and they I don't know, bumped you into that exit row where you get more like stuff that you weren't prepared for, but it was the best, like so much better than what you had planned? That's what he's saying. Like you may, like this person may be like, I'm enjoying driving my new red Porsche 911. Well, I don't know what's better than a 911, but maybe there's something out there that's better than that particular Porsche. So you would say that, or better, or something better. So you leave room to grow. Like here's an example. I'm enjoying living in my beautiful beachfront villa on the Kenai something coast of Maui, or something better, which to me, that sounds pretty damn awesome, but there might be something better out there than that coast to live on, right? Like it's we only ask for what we know is possible. And we all know that we don't ask for enough. We all know there's so much more out there than we are even aware of, right? There are foods you've never tasted. There are cars you've never seen. There are locations you've never traveled to. And so you've never even thought to ask for them. So the or better or something better, I just love that one. Okay, so some tips on how to use your affirmations and visualization. And you guys, this is, oh wait, I got to repeat number 4. Sorry, Shante. Number 4, keep it brief. Just keep it short and sweet. So like that's when you want to think of it like being so short and sweet that it's easy to rattle back off. Because eventually you want to get to the point where you're able to repeat your affirmations. So that was actually a good lead in, because the number one thing you want to do, and I don't do this, I don't know how many of you do, but I don't do this. You want to review your affirmations 3 times a day. First thing in the morning, middle of the day, and before bed. I have been reviewing my affirmations on Monday morning at 9:30 with Courtney on our Zoom. I mean, they're written down, but I've not really been diving into them. If appropriate, you want to read them out loud. Number 3, after each affirmation, you want to close your eyes and visualize yourself as the affirmation describes. So see it as if you were looking out at the scene from inside of yourself. In other words, don't see yourself standing out there in the scene. See the scene looking out through your eyes. So when I say, I see myself driving my car, it's not that I'm like standing on the side of the road and I see myself drive by, right? I am in the driver's seat. I see the windshield. I see the steering wheel. I see the buttons, right? That's what he's saying. Like really see it happening from what your viewpoint in life will be in that moment. So when you say like something we can all think like, I'm going to stand on stage as 200K. It's not you sitting in the audience seeing yourself up on the stage. It's you being on the stage looking out and seeing all the people in the audience, right? That's the difference of how you want to visualize that. Okay. Oh, and I thought this was good too. You want to hear any sounds you might hear when you successfully achieve the affirmation. So for example, if you're going to move to that beach house, the sound of the water, right, hitting. If you're standing on stage at 200K, the roar of the crowd. If you're going to go, in the Olympics or whatever, the playing of the national anthem, like something that would be happening, what would you be hearing in that moment? Include other important people in your life congratulating you and telling you how pleased they are with your success. So again, if you're like, I'm going to be 12K, picture your upline calling you or showing up at your door and be like, oh my gosh, you did it. I'm so proud. Like literally see that moment happening. So yes, your affirmation is this big, but when you close your eyes and you start to see it and feel it and smell it, taste it, whatever, it's going to be this big, right? Number 5, feel the feeling that you will feel when you achieve the success. The stronger of the feeling, the more powerful the process. So he says, if you have difficulty creating the feeling, you can affirm, I am enjoying easily creating powerful things in my effective work with affirmations. So in other words, if you struggle to like feel it, affirm that and learn how to start feeling it. But, I'm trying to think of like, I see Courtney popped on here. So, for years she had on her vision board that they were going to buy this house, their forever home, right? Like the house. She could have just said that and pictured it, but she really could picture herself standing, maybe standing in the garage with the key and unlocking the house for the first time, that feeling that would overcome you in that moment. The more you keep feeling that, your subconscious will then help you find it because it's going to start to become really familiar and you will start to look for that. Case in point, Lisa Cook. We put her in her dream car a couple of days ago. And after we all parted ways and she got down the road, she's like, you'll never believe what's in front of me. The exact car or beside her, one of those two, right? So you guys all know that the more you become connected to something, the more you start to see it, right? Like how many times have you bought a blue Honda Civic and you never saw one and now you see them everywhere you go, right? It's because you've become aware of it. So that's where that or something better comes in. You're only aware of what you know. So you want to make sure that you're feeling and seeing the things that you want in your life. So because now once you're aware of them, then they actually can become real. So I always go back to like an architect who's drawing up a new house for the first time. That house doesn't exist, but the more he spends time on those plans and he gets really detailed with them and he can start to see the flat picture becoming a 3D. And they actually, a lot of times they'll make a model of a building before it's built. Like the more that happens, the more his brain is like, oh yeah, this exists and it will be built. And then ta-da, there's this house that he's been looking at on paper for weeks or months or however long, and now it's a real thing. Whereas before he ever drew it out on that page, it didn't exist anywhere, not in his mind, not in real life. Number 6, say your affirmations again and then repeat this process with the next affirmation. So in other words, keep going over them 3 times a day. Say your first one, do all those things. Say the next one, do all those things. Other ways that you can use your affirmations. He says you can put them on 3x5 index cards and you can actually prop them up around your home. If you guys were at Lindsay's house back when she did the leader retreat for boot camp, they were on her bathroom mirror. So he is suggesting that, but also have them next to maybe your chair, next to your bed, next to the, maybe on the refrigerator, like literally having them someplace where you see them all the time. Hang pictures of things you want around your house. You can put yourself in the picture. And this made me think of TJ right away, because I remember TJ, I forget when or what, but he like had a picture of his dream car, and then he like photoshopped himself next to that dream car, right? So get creative. If you guys have a phone, you can do some really fun things with putting yourself in the picture. Maybe you have a picture of yourself in a pool, but then you could find a house with a pool and you could shrink yourself and put yourself out in the pool, right? Like you could be in the pool of the house that you want to be. Um, is this repeat your affirmations during what he calls wasted time, such as when you're waiting in line, maybe you're on a walk or on a treadmill or something like that, or you're driving. You can repeat them silently or out loud. And this is one that I did a long time ago, and I haven't done it forever, and I'm going to redo it. Record your affirmations and listen to them in your own voice while you're either working, exercising, driving, falling asleep. There's something very powerful about hearing yourself tell yourself what's happening. Because think about it. In your brain during the day, you've probably told yourself this bad thing's going to happen, or I forgot to pay this bill, or you know what I mean? Like you hear yourself all day long say stuff. When was the last time you heard yourself say the positive thing? So to record it and actually listen to it is very powerful. Da, da, da. Reaffirm, we talked about that. Oh, put your affirmations on your screensaver or your computer, tablet, smartphone, blah, blah, blah. So what I did, we went over this in, I don't know, a Zoom or something, is I showed you guys how to go into Canva. Why have you've never thought, Courtney, how to like record yourself and play it back? It's very powerful. So I went through in a Zoom a couple weeks ago or a week ago. I don't know. It's the vortex of Christmas and New Year's happening. How to use Canva to create your screensaver on your phone and or your wallpaper on your computer. So I'm a big fan, obviously, of vision boards, and everything that I have on these is printed out on a board, but my board is here in my home. This bad boy is always in my pocket. And then how often are you at your computer? A lot, if you're me. So keep those all around you. And a lot of times what I'll do too, like I was doing it this morning, I was looking at my vision board that's on my phone, and like here's a picture of this pool that overlooks the lake with the words Texas next to it. And that means a lot to me. And so I just literally I just sat there and I just looked at it. And I thought, like, what would it feel like? It's obviously a sunny day. What would it feel like to be in that pool, looking out over that lake? Like what would that feel like? What would it sound like? There would be water, right? There'd probably be birds, there'd be boats going by on the lake. Like, what would it sound like? What would it feel like? How would I feel to be in that moment? And sometimes it's just a matter of taking that quiet time. And then like something that I have done in the past that I love and enjoy greatly, there's a picture of Cabo on here. I mean, you know me, if I could go to Cabo at least once, maybe 5 times a year, I would go. And so this is a picture that I've actually experienced. So I can literally look at that and I can hear it. I can feel it. I can see it because I was there, and that'll just help me get back there one more time. Right. So take these tips, because Courtney, you got on kind of late, but I was telling them how, like, when you started on the Meeting the Mind Zoom, that we needed to sit down and write our affirmations out, that I would just start writing them out, kind of like brain dump, versus like having true, really good affirmations. And so I want to take these 9 steps, these 9 fundamentals, whatever he calls them, and really go back over it with a fine-tooth comb and make it more of something that when I say it or see it or hear it, that it truly connects. Because if you can connect this with this, you'll get there. Like, that's all there is to it. Think of something in your life that you wanted that you got. It could be anything. Like, it could be like a pair of shoes. It could be your house. It could be your husband, your daughter, whatever. Like, you wanted something and you thought about it. Like, and even something as simple as a pair of shoes. You saw them on someone's feet and you're like, those are cute. Then you started Googling, what kind of, trying to find out what shoe that was. Then you found it. Then you found different places you could buy it. You kept looking at it. You kept thinking about it. You put on an outfit. Those shoes would have gone good with it. You just kept thinking, and then you went and got them, right? Miraculously, the shoes that you never even knew existed until you saw them on someone's feet ended up in your closet because you wanted them and you saw them and you knew where to get them. What's the same thing? What do you want is, I think, the first thing you have to work with. And then you have to see it, which, again, go to Google, get some images. And then in this case, you're going to write out what you're doing, how you're feeling when you're in that moment. Okay. So hopefully this helped. Like I said, I didn't want to go too long because in 5 minutes, we're going to all hop onto a different Zoom and listen to Sam. She is fired up and ready to go, and I'm excited for it. So for those of you that can be on it, the Mashup Monday link is, there's not a link. It's on the graphic. I put it in the group chat. I put it in the page. It's everywhere. So I will put this on YouTube. Thank you.